and we are back at it again with the things that changed my life. In this case, we are going to do something a little bit different because every time I have labeled these videos games that have changed my life when I've been editing them, but this time I'm going to be going over music that changed my life. And I guess it's a little bit broad, but I also didn't want to expand like heavily on just one. So that's why I'm doing it like this. And everyone can see the title. I will be talking about and for the people that watched my DDR video, you would already know coming into this that I had a little bit of experience listening to Japanese music, because this was just slightly pre-internet. Like, this is like me moving into the internet era of the 2010s, 2011. It was just Japanese music or things that had a very Japanese sound to them. So I think for a lot of people, they first came across K-pop with Gangnam Style, which it was a moment in time, but not me. For me, I was actually introduced to K-pop through YouTubers. Two specifically that I can think of were H.O.T and Billiards, who I don't think uploads on that channel anymore. I believe she has like a vlog style channel now, which I will probably put in the video somewhere. And so these were Asian YouTubers who would make like references to K-pop groups, K-pop songs, and all that. And I also had a friend in secondary school. I don't know if she's ever gonna watch this, but hi Nicole, if you're ever watching this. She essentially got me really into it. We would like talk back and forth about different groups because I didn't really know K-pop, and so she was the one who was more into that. So what was the song that really got me into it if it wasn't Gangnam Style?
Feast your eyes on this, dweebos! What the wormhole? That's the wrong video!
Well, it was the other one that definitely got people into K-pop pre-Gangnam Style, which was G. And I mean, come on now, this song is iconic for good reason. I think it's a good song, I still listen to it, and I think anyone who says they don't like G is probably just under that thing of, you know, like when you listen to a song way too many times and you just hate it. I think it's that. But my view of K-pop really started to expand when I looked a little bit more into Girls' Generation, what they did, and all the different songs and different artists that were around at that time. So from Girls' Generation, I went to 2NE1. 2NE1 were my girls. Big Bang. I was actually a big YG, like anything that was with YG, like, you know, Teddy, I think 7, Epic High. I really liked a lot of YG at the time. Was not a huge fan of like other groups, like small bits here and there like GOT7, and when BTS came out I was not the biggest fan of them. I really liked No though. Their song No really, like to this day, is one of my favorites. Oh, SHINee as well. I was a big fan of SHINee as well. But one thing I also liked was I would also watch something called Simply K-pop on TV. It was very rare that there was a group on there that was kind of notable. A lot of lower groups, a lot of, I don't want to say lower actually, a lot of smaller groups that didn't really have the following that a lot of the bigger ones have went on there. There were a few times like when KARD was on there, or when, I know BTS was on there, but this was like back when they weren't as big. It was something that the international fans saw to sort of like push it out there a little. It was also during this time that I was starting to follow some of these like K-pop choreographies. Well, actually no, it was actually after, because I know like one of my ones that I really enjoyed doing were like harder ones. So things like Ace's Cactus, stuff like that. I really enjoyed doing that, and that got me into like dance a little bit more, especially since you've probably seen from other ones where I really enjoyed like the ballroom scene. It was a little bit of a gateway into like letting me enjoy dance, but also like understanding things like blocking, understand things like formations. I don't know, it was weird because you go into, you probably saw when in my previous video where I was talking about the video game awards. What are we doing here with this performance? That sort of K-pop sort of pushed me into dance and understanding dance a little bit more as well. But at the point that I was finding K-pop, it was not really looked at as, you know, a viable genre in the West, and I was pretty used to this considering that I also listened to Japanese music. So, you know, as soon as people heard anything to what I was listening to, you was immediately getting that conversation of, oh, that's the music you listen to? I don't like that genre, or I don't like that kind of music. Or, oh, do you know what I hated? I hate the conversation of like, how do you even know what they're saying? It's like, can you be any more bit like pig-headed? Like, are you stupid? You do not have to understand every single word to enjoy the music of something. sometimes you don't even need words in music. It's like, do we just forget that that kind of music exists? And then, you know, a lot of people consider that this time, I'd say roughly around like 2011ish to around 2013, 14 is like the golden age of K-pop, because that is when it started to like go over to the West. A lot of people from the West started to be like, oh, I really like this kind of music, I'm really starting to enjoy it. You know, BTS was becoming even bigger, EXO was becoming even bigger, then you had like Twice come in. There was still some really big hitters with like Big Bang and Girls' Generation. Now that I think about it, I would say this is where some of the better songs came in. I do think a lot of new age stuff is very hit or miss for me, but that also depends on the group in general. A lot of the groups that I liked were generally not treated very well or were forgotten about. And just weren't really given very much time to really just shine. For example, one of my biggest ones was I really liked Boys Republic. The issue with that is that Boys Republic debuted roughly around when BTS were also debuting. And because BTS already had like this intense fan base behind them, because they were like one of the few groups that were using like social media at the time for marketing and like just being personalities, Boys Republic was just left in the dust. And honestly, y'all let Boys Republic down, because Get Down is one of the best songs I would say that I've heard in general from K-pop, because it is good. But honestly, there's so many groups that I feel like were completely shafted over the years. And this isn't even just like 2011 to 2014. This is going from like when I first started listening to now. There's so many groups that I've come across and I've been like, oh, whatever happened to them? And then it was just like, either they just weren't successful, and that sucks. That always sucks. No matter what kind of group, it always sucks when that happens. If anyone wants to check out some of these groups, you can see them in my JKC music playlist, which, as the name suggests, it is Japanese, Korean, and Chinese music, but a majority of it is Japanese and Korean. So it's like a lot in there is a lot of mainstream and a lot of like lesser known groups as well. And you know what? In this next month, I'm going to post a K-pop video that's like songs that I feel like were actually just not given a chance, or artists that I feel like were not given a chance, because there's so many songs that I felt like deserved some praise but got nothing, and I am determined to really push them out to the light. But K-pop has really come a long way from, you know, back when I was listening to it and everyone would just judge you and be like, ew, what is that? Like, it's a full-on thing now, which I'm very glad to see. But I also feel like it has led to a lot of degeneracy in general on the internet. But I also think that comes with a lot of things. Gatekeeping is a thing that should still happen, but not quite on the same level, in my opinion, to keep some of those crazies out. And naturally, because of a lot of these accounts, I have been able to... There's so many memes. There's so many memes that come from the K-pop sphere, which are probably things that are unintentionally funny. These things are completely ridiculous and probably wouldn't be funny to a whole lot of other people, but I love them.
But was extremely impressed by my vast knowledge of the city.
I think he's a liar. I think he's a liar.
Look at their 5-star reviews that I made them type as I watched. The only question was,
I'm Billiards.
Shang-Chi, salute.
Life does not. Oh my God. Oh my God. Wrong. Capitalism. No. No. Well, yeah, kind of.
Can you speak French? Hola.
Oh, but let me tell you something that I've been really getting into lately when it comes to K-pop, and it is something that I cannot explain. Recently, K-pop has not been like, there's some songs that do it for me, but there's a lot more songs that really don't do anything for me. But what I've been doing, I've been going back to like 90s K-pop, and 90s K-pop is a little strange and a little is very different to what we're listening to now, which makes sense, you know, after 20 years / 30 years of, you know, music evolution that will happen. I have grown to really enjoy some of the 90s K-pop. I'm not a huge fan of H.O.T because they were massive back in the 90s, because, you know, as you should when you look back at some of these artists, you should look at some of the impact that they had, as well as understanding like some of the power that some of these groups had at the time, because I don't think K-pop groups were as influential as they are now. I think that was more something towards like the later 90s that was something that was happening. And I will also put up a couple of those songs, couple of those artists that I definitely think some people should look up and see what they were doing, because a lot of it is kind of iconic, and I love seeing like things that would be considered like cultural phenomenons in the past for like different cultures. But quite frankly, I'm not too sure where the next direction of K-pop is going towards. I think we are seeing a large increase of virtual idols, which I don't mind. I just think it's weird to have it like overshadow real artists when that does happen. So like things with like Super Kind, I feel like the two virtual idols get more attention than the actual real idols in that group, but I also do not follow them that much to really keep tabs on their fan base. But I do love, I think KDA really like blew that market wide open and throwing like Maeve in there. But for me, my favorite one has been Apoki, especially since she is my most listened to artist apparently. But it probably doesn't help that I listen to most of my music through Discord bots, so my YouTube like recap for like my yearly recap isn't quite accurate. But I would say, to end this video off, I am really glad to see that a lot more Korean artists, not just Korean, but also Japanese artists, and more artists across the world are getting more of a way to expose themselves into the market. I only really just like, when did I start seeing this? I think I mainly started to like notice this when it was like, when I think Wonho performed like Open Mind, I think it was MTV Awards, I might be wrong. But I'm gonna say that it was MTV Awards, and I know that 17 also performed on the MTV Awards. Jungkook did the opening ceremony for like the, what was it? It was like the football global world finals or whatever. And so that's where I am going to end it today. And do I have a final message? I don't know. If you're someone who's like, I want to get into K-pop, but I also don't know where to start, I would say start off with that sort of 2011 sort of place, or you could just look through or ask anyone like songs to start, because there's definitely a thing where it's like, if you're new to K-pop, you're not going to like every K-pop song. And I'm also tired of fans convincing themselves that every song that an artist release is brilliant, but those people are stans to begin with, so you know, then they're never going to admit things like that anyways. I don't know, the K-pop genre is bigger and wider than people give it credit for, and it encapsulates so many different types of genres to begin with. I don't know, if you know you like a certain genre, there's 100% a group that has been made to sort of cater to that. As for that, I'm out of here. I've got a busy schedule with releasing videos every 2 days, so bye. You've reached the end of the video and hopefully you liked it. If you didn't, tell me that you didn't in the comments, or just dislike it. I don't know, I don't care. If you want to support me, I have a Patreon that will be in the description below. And I think that's all. I will see you in the next video.